Everyone can experience anxiety, and it's helpful when it warns us and stops us from doing something dangerous. And if it's stress rather than anxiety, then it will pass. But fear and anxiety can affect us all every now and then. But if we can't stop it, if it interrupts us from living a normal life or holds us back for long periods of time, it's more serious. You might feel anxious all the time for several weeks, or if it feels like your fears are taking over your life, then it's a good idea to look into what's causing it. And there are different types of anxiety, and for some people they may cross over or have one type that leads to another, but understanding how they can vary can help us learn how to overcome them. So I'm going to go through the most common types of anxiety now. Now, a common form of anxiety is generalized anxiety disorder, or GAD, and it's the type of anxiety that involves feelings of constant worrying or a general feeling of dread or unease. And for it to be termed GAD, it's normally experienced for most days over a period of 6 months or longer. And generally, GAD is split into emotional, behavioural and physical symptoms. So emotional symptoms of GAD include constant worries running through your head, feeling like the anxiety is uncontrollable, having intrusive thoughts that you try to avoid thinking about but you can't, an inability to tolerate uncertainty, where you need to know what's going to happen in the future, or a pervasive feeling or apprehension or dread. Behavioural symptoms of GAD include an inability to relax or enjoy quiet time or be by yourself, difficulty concentrating or focusing on things, putting things off because you feel overwhelmed, or avoiding situations that make you feel anxious. Physical symptoms of GAD include feeling tense or having tight muscles or body aches, insomnia, struggling to fall asleep or repeatedly waking up through the night, feeling edgy, restless or jumpy, or stomach problems such as nausea and diarrhea. Now, the second type of anxiety I'll go through is called social anxiety or social phobia. And although people with social anxiety are sometimes shy in childhood, social anxiety is not simple shyness, but it's a type of anxiety where a person has a fear of being judged or rejected in social or speaking situations. And it's a worry about looking anxious in itself, like blushing or stumbling over words, and a fear of being viewed as stupid, awkward, or boring. And because of this, people can avoid social or speaking situations altogether, such as giving presentations or attending meetings. And sometimes social anxiety can bring physical symptoms, such as a pounding heart, or feeling sick, or sweating hands. And it can turn into full-blown panic attacks. So social anxiety can lead to a panic attack in itself. It can feel out of control and hold people back in their lives. For example, people might struggle to relax in job interviews and so find it hard to get a job, or they might even turn down a job that needs them to speak with lots of people. Now, social anxiety can also stop or hold people back from public speaking, something that's needed as people become more senior in their career, being assertive at work when they need to be, or even pushing themselves forward for a promotion. Another form of anxiety are phobias, and phobias occur when people have an extreme fear of a specific thing, such as spiders, heights, or medical procedures. And it can also include public transportation, being outside or in crowds, such as agoraphobia. And while some phobias develop in childhood, they can start unexpectedly, such as when we're teenagers or in our 20s. They can start suddenly in situations that didn't cause anxiety before. And people with specific phobias work hard to avoid their fear and feel powerless to stop it. But having phobias can disrupt daily routines, work performance, and even reduce self-esteem, because people will do whatever they can to avoid those uncomfortable feelings of anxiety. And so they might avoid leaving the house or go to certain places. Now, I mentioned panic attacks before, and a panic attack is a sudden strong feeling of fear with intense physical reactions. And when they occur, you might think you're losing control. They can begin suddenly at any time when you're driving a car or at the mall or in the middle of a meeting. And typical reactions include this sense of impending doom or danger, fear of loss of control or death, pounding heart rate, sweating, shaking, shortness of breath, or tightness in the throat. It can also include chest pain, headache, dizziness, lightheadedness, or faintness, even numbness or feeling of unreality or detachment. One of the worst things about panic attacks is the fear that another one will pop up. So people might then avoid certain situations or places where it might happen again. Another type of anxiety is health anxiety, which used to be called hypochondria. And health anxiety is this constant fear that you're sick or might be sick, and you might become so consumed by worry that the stress interrupts or holds you back from leading a normal life. It can include overthinking about having a serious illness, or you might need to have health screenings again and again, or constantly check for symptoms online. To be termed health or illness anxiety, the overthinking would last for at least 6 months. Another type of anxiety is obsessive compulsive disorder, or OCD, and OCD differs from the other types of anxiety I've talked about because the person will have felt anxiety and then found something to ease their symptoms. The obsession part of OCD are thoughts, images, or impulses that occur again and again and feel outside of the person's control. And everyone might have had a thought from time to time, such as worrying about a loved one's safety. And someone without OCD can have these thoughts in the moment and then move on. But with OCD, these thoughts come again and again and trigger extreme anxiety that gets in the way of day-to-day functioning. The compulsions are the second part of obsessive compulsive disorder, and these are repetitive behaviors that a person uses to make their obsessions go away. And they can include washing or cleaning repeatedly, repeating routines in general, and checking on things again and again. The last type of anxiety I'm going to talk about today is post-traumatic stress disorder, or PTSD. And this can occur if someone has experienced or witnessed a traumatic event such as a natural disaster, a serious accident, a terrorist or war act, or an assault. And again, this type of anxiety differs from the first 5 I talked about because it's the result of an experience happening in the past rather than having a fear of future events. And people with PTSD have intense, disturbing thoughts and feelings related to their experience that last long after the traumatic event has ended. And they may relive the event through flashbacks or nightmares, and they may feel detached from other people. People with PTSD might avoid situations or people that remind them of the traumatic event and might have strong reactions to something ordinary like a loud noise. So in summary, fear and anxiety can affect us all every now and then. But if you feel anxious all the time for several months, or if it feels like it's taking over your life, then it's a good idea to look into what's causing it. There are different types of anxiety that I've gone through, and for some people they may cross over or have one type that leads to another type, but understanding how they vary can help us learn how to overcome them.